Here's what we do.
Give ready.
Acknowledge the precision. Acknowledge the precision.
Ain't no time for hesitation.
Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Alternative Thought. I am your host, Maurice J. Robinson, Q4 Radio, 1680 AM, loaded eardrum, and all that other good stuff that I don't feel like saying this morning. Today's episode is actually kind of special. I was going to start it off, I think I'm going to end the show with a certain song, just because I like y'all. But that's all right. I'm going to sing it for y'all later. Today's show, I say it's special because I literally have... I literally have beauty queens on the show. Now, usually on Alternative Thought, we have socially conscious stuff. We talked about gentrification in the black community. We talked about mental health amongst millennials. We've talked about the Bible. We've talked about so many other issues. But what makes this show kind of interesting and kind of special, if I must say, is that when I read these women platforms, and first, Charlotte Wallace, who was also who was in the studio, who I've known for quite some time. I knew she was in the pageant because she came up to me and said, "Ooh, look at my sash." and I'm like, "All right, cool, you in the pageant." But then she came up to me and said, "Like, look, we like really read what we do." And then I started reading the bios. Then she started sending me information. Then when we started programming the show and actually putting the show together, I started reading their bios, and I literally, for a couple of them, I actually cried. I haven't cried this hard since G Baby died in Highball.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all remember that when he got shot by that straight bullet?
That is like the saddest part of the whole movie.
Man, that... Rest in peace, G Baby. Man. Rest in peace, G Baby. But these stories are literally what Alternative Thought is about, and it actually gave me a huge perspective on what pageantry is about, because they're not just regular, like, you know, you see what I like about it is not only that various women are represented in this pageant, it's about social awareness, and that's what I love. So I'm about to jack up all their names. Just gonna be honest, I'm jacking up because Lovise Brinkman. Lovise Brinkman, Charlotte Wallace, Sonia Petty, and Beth McMahon. Now, mind you, I said Beth's name like 6 times, and I still was about to mess it up, right? So, Lovise, let's start with you. Who are you, your platform, and who are you representing? I don't want to hear nothing about saving the whales and none of that crap.
I am Lovise Brinkman, and he's putting on my crown. I am Mrs. Illinois American Elegance 2017, and my platform has to do with living with vitiligo. It is...
Yeah, there you go.
There I am.
There
so
you go.
It is dealing with living with vitiligo, educate, advocate, and inspire. And the reason why I chose this particular platform is because my son was diagnosed in 2012.
Oh, that is beautiful. Now, Charlotte, my favorite, get off your phone in the name of Jesus. I am rocking this crown. I don't know why.
Are you rocking the crown?
Don't let it fall.
I can't.
Okay, don't let my crown fall.
You see my neck like extra tilted in a certain way that I'm about to break it, but break my own neck, not the crown, because
you
I
just
like.
gotta learn how to keep it steady.
Nah, my
Or
head.
better yet, grow a little hair and clip it on.
I can't grow a beard yet alone here. So, Charlotte, tell us your platform, please, Miss Ma'am.
Well, my name is Charlotte Wallace. I am Miss Land of Lincoln American Elegance Lady 2017. My platform is called Forgotten Cries. It is for the mothers that have lost their children to gun violence. So it is to bring awareness and focus to all the gun violence. And the reason that I am doing it is because of the fact that I lost my son 4 years ago. So in 2013, January 11th, my son was number 14 of the people that were killed that year. Mm-hmm. So that's my purpose of doing it.
Ah, man. Okay. I said I wasn't going to cry.
Oh.
I said I wasn't going to cry. Miss Sonia Petty.
Yes.
I need you to get on that microphone. Oh, come on, Miss Sophisticate.
Yes. Sophisticated in the house.
I don't even know what that means. It's just a big word I just learned yesterday.
It's so funny.
The division for sophisticated ladies, plus size women representing in the house. So I am Sonia Petty, and my platform is called Let's Talk About Helen. Acronyms of my late mom's name: Helping Elders Live Efficiently Now. Over 41.4 million seniors over the age of 65 are in America, and that's just the estimate. And I think we need to make some provisions in reference to health care, aging seniors, because during this particular time, people are, right now, they're just focusing on building more nursing homes, but people really want to stay at home. So I promote people, get people engaged on doing community service, like volunteering within your own home, volunteering within the community to keep our seniors active, and just taking time to just go visit a sick relative or auntie, and that's what my platform is about.
Oh man, that's pretty dope. Now
Talking
y'all
about aging in America.
Hey, Facebook Live, y'all see that lady that's sitting right across? Her name is Beth McMahon. I want to congratulate Beth on being the first white person ever on Alternative Thought. We just made history today, y'all.
Come on down.
I've been trying to get everybody keep on like turning me down, but you know, Beth said, you know what? I gotta represent. So I appreciate Beth for coming on the show. But Beth, who has the cutest grandbabies ever. But I want to hear your platform. Talk to me.
My platform is bringing awareness to human trafficking. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, criminal industry. It affects it denies 20.9 million people their freedom. And I have 7 daughters and I have 4 boys. And I really want to protect, I'm trying to move this mic, y'all. I really would like to protect the children of America and keep them to be safe and keep them from harm's way and out of predators' hands.
LaSonia Alexander Frazier, tell me your platform.
Hello, everyone, and my apologies.
No, I was joking.
But my platform is Moms Can Do It Too. So that's the number 2 at the end, because sometimes moms have to do the job of 2 parents. I am an advocate for single moms. I'm a super single mom of 7 children myself. Yes, 6 sons and 1 daughter. So my platform is speaking. I'm the voice for single moms. I have probably been through everything that a single mom and a mother can be through anyway. So I advocate for single moms. I tap into resources. The biggest thing that pushed me back into my platform was American Elegance. They gave me the courage to step back out there. I started my organization years ago, but recently I went through homelessness after an attempted suicide of one of my sons, and I want to get out there and let mothers know there's light at the end of every dark tunnel.
I want to know what made y'all get involved, period. Because I'm not used to seeing, let's face it, I'm not used to seeing like women, like unless they like super magazine cut, like Prissy, size 0, going into Miss America pageants, and I don't even watch that crap. So, but this is actually kind of dope. So what made y'all get involved?
I wanted to find myself again.
Right.
That year was like a really, really bad year for me. Not just that year, the last 4 years have been kind of tough.
Yeah,
so
Steve
with
Harvey
that,
letter.
I know. Oh, that Steve Harvey letter I wrote?
Oh.
Yeah, because that one, when I wrote that letter, it was 2 years after my son died. So I was finally able to open up. I mean, I was able to talk about it a little bit, but not talk about it and not cry. Right. This time I was able to sit down and I just put my heart out there. And I told him exactly what was going on with me. So with me losing my son in January, 2 months after that, my sister had called and sent us a message saying that she was in the hospital. She had a brain tumor. So it went from a brain tumor to them finding out she had pancreatic cancer to stomach cancer, and then she died in October. So here it is. Before I can grieve over my son, I'm now grieving over my sister. Within that whole time, my mom, who was up in age, had 5 heart attacks and 3 strokes. So on top of the fact that she was also hit by a car. So yeah, so on top of it just seemed like stuff just kept happening, and it I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I couldn't focus. Then, of course, I was in a relationship that just didn't turn out the way it should have been. Even though we had been together for years, all of this pressure on top of other things ended up we had to split. We couldn't work it out.
He didn't deserve you, girl.
I know that. Absolutely. He knows it now. But that's the
Coming
problem.
back, ain't
He tried.
he? See,
Yeah. You know, they always try.
I feel like I'm one of y'all now.
I know, right?
I feel sensitive.
Right.
No.
But then on top of the last thing that was happening is that I have another sister that they ended up finding out she has brain aneurysm. We thought at first it was just one. Turned out she had 4. So it's like she's still here. She survived. But the problem was I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Mm-hmm. And when I was finally able to focus on not just everything that was happening with them, but things that was happening with me, I came across a Facebook post, and it was somebody that was kind of going through the same things that I was going through. She was feeling lost. She didn't know what to do, and she ended up doing a pageant. So I was just reading what she was saying, and I was to that point, and I was like, you know what, in tears, because everything that she was saying was me to a T. I ended up getting in contact with her. We talked for a minute. She ended up pointing me in the direction of another pageant. But I talked to that lady, and she said, well, if you're not sure about this, how about you just talk to these people over here and do an ambassador. So an ambassador is somebody who, they're not going out doing what we're doing, but they more or less do it. So they're not queens, but they get a crown, they get a sash, but they're just ambassadors. So they're representing the pageant. So that's what I wanted to do. Just go out there and kind of help the queens do whatever it is that they needed to do. But when I got there, of course, Lauren, she ended up talking me into doing the pageant because she heard my story. She heard a little bit about what I was going through and stuff. And she was like, are you sure you don't want to do this? And I kept saying by the end of the day, why does this woman keep asking me that question? And I'm like, okay, cool. So after a while, I went ahead and I did it. I was like, you know what? Let me just step out my comfort zone and just take a chance and do it. So the reason I was doing this is because of the fact that I needed to find myself. I was lost. And this helped me realize who and what Charlotte is and who she is and what she's about and the love she shares and, all the other stuff, all the good things about her.
Again, all of y'all bios, really inspirational stuff. And you talked about elders. Now, when I think about elders, I think about my my great grandmama, who's still on this earth, who I think is Superwoman. You know what I'm saying? She's 90 years old. She had the same pacemaker since 1954.
Wow.
At least I don't know. That's just the estimated date. Could have been 1990, for all I know. I don't really care. I just know that the battery ain't never changed. It's probably got cobwebs. I call her Iron Woman because the pacemaker literally has fused to her chest.
Wow.
It's hilarious to me. She actually laughs about it too.
Wow.
Still spit snuff, still drink gin every night. Will cuss you out in a heartbeat. I love her to death. Biggest trash talker in the world. Biggest trash talker I know. She's the funniest woman I know. Literally. I never seen a 90-year-old woman talk about how much her titties used to bounce.
That's why I love my
Hilarious. Hilarious. Old lady. And we'll talk about everybody and their mama. But I want to know more about your mother. Because for you to create an acronym after your mother, I always say it's destiny in the name. And you literally created a destiny for your mother.
I did.
Post. But I want to know more about your mother. What made you gravitate to this cause?
For me, first starting out, just watching my mother as I was growing up, my mom was a giver. And she was one of those mothers, even though you didn't realize it, she was one of those mothers who would take care of the community. And for instance, back in the day, we used to go, my mom and her best friend would go to Indiana, and they would go and get bushels of greens and corn and all this stuff. And we had to pick it and all that stuff. And I used to couldn't stand watching all these barrels of greens. So she would cook it. She'd spend like a week, preparing. and we had this big, huge refrigerator downstairs. So she would always buy extra chickens. So if somebody said, Helen, can you give me do you have a chicken, or, you know, my mom would say, oh, son, you go downstairs and get a bag of greens, get some corn. And I said, well, they only asked for chicken. She said, no, I'm going to give them the sides to go with it. And that's what my mother did. And I was just like, I didn't realize the significance of what my mom was doing. But also, she was a missionary. She was active in church. But like I said, she always gave of herself. So when my mom, like you said, your grandmother had her
gangster.
her pacemaker. My mom had her battle scars. She had open heart surgery. She had a pacemaker that did not flare off. She went from a pacemaker to a defibrillator. She suffered from diabetes. She lost her leg to diabetes. And so seeing my mother with all her battle scars, one thing I love about taking care of seniors is that, like you said, their honesty, you know, their wisdom. So in my family, we've always been taught to recognize our elders and continue the legacy. So for me, naming my mom's, my platform after my mom is like continuing the legacy. My aunties, my mom was like number 10 out of 10 children. So she was the baby girl. And so it's always been instilled in us, y'all got to keep the family going. You got to keep the legacy going. So to me, that's me honoring my ancestors, honoring my matriarchs and patriots of the family, and honoring my seniors, honoring the essence of my mom, which was she's a giver. So that's why I love it. I mean, like, even when I listen to some of my seniors on Facebook and how honest they are about aging, you know, we don't realize how heartbreaking it could be when you had a spouse for 50, 30 years and you lose him, or you don't have any children around you to help nurture you. And sometimes they just need somebody just to talk to them, communicate with them. And one of my seniors had said on Facebook how it was so heartbreaking for her to, you know, as she's aging, she's losing her friends. So the older you get, of course, unfortunately, you're losing your friends. So that's why I always tell people, just spend some time with somebody. They just want somebody, they need that communication. They need, so they won't start being isolated. So
yeah. I told my great grandmama that, I'm like, yo, I'm finna go ahead and get you on a date. And she's like, I don't want to be talking to no stranger. I'm like, I'll be your chaperone then. Like,
you'll be surprised, seniors, they still want to date.
No, my grandmama don't. She's like, I ain't got no time for no man.
Well, I know some of the seniors I do, they looking for her. I mean, they're 80 plus and they still looking to date.
Like, we can talk. That's it. Like, she just tell you, like, we can talk. But, you know, if it ain't Jerry Springer, I don't really care.
Oh,
like, watch Jerry Springer. I love my grandmama. She is the most awesomest. But being the sister, I gotta ask you. Because your son has what Michael Jackson lied about, Vitiligo. We all know Michael Jackson bleached his skin. I don't even know why we playing. Like, but with Vitiligo, like, what is that? How does that affect his life? I mean, especially being a kid nowadays. I'm saying a kid. He's like, what, 16, 17?
He's 15.
15. That man looks 32.
Oh, no.
I know he bigger than me.
Yeah,
I know.
He's 6'1".
Yeah, no. I dreamt about being 6'1". My soul's 6'8" in my spirit. But yeah, he's 15, 6'1", and I'm pretty sure, like, as much as we talk about anti-bullying and things like that, I'm pretty sure, because I know kids are mean, that he's been bullied because of vitiligo. And I want to know, how does it affect you and your family?
Well, actually, Derek was diagnosed with vitiligo when he was coming out of 6th grade. He attended Christian school, and he was actually bullied.
In a Christian school?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
School.
I get on the church a lot on the show.
Just because you attend a Christian school does not necessarily mean that you're a Christian. So just to get that out there, we attend private school because we are Christians, and it was important for us.
Right.
So it did happen. And after that year, it was very traumatic for him. And one of the things about vitiligo is that it does come out. One of the things that brings it out is stress. So anyone can have it, including you. It starts from age, as people can have from birth. I know a three-year-old. I met someone who was diagnosed at 53. Yes, it can come out at any time.
I'm trying to figure out what stress 3-year-old got. Man, my
well, you
glasses
don't know what can bring it out in your skin. So it can happen at any time, at any age, and it affects 1% of the population.
Okay.
And so after the spring of that year, I noticed blotches on his skin, on his legs. And I asked my brother-in-law, who is a physician, what is wrong with Derek's legs? And he said, I think he might have vitiligo. You need to go get that diagnosed. And we went to a dermatologist, and that's how the diagnosis, we got the diagnosis. For Derek, we actually changed Christian schools, and now he attends Grace Christian Academy. And so for us, because it had just started with him being at Grace, they have watched it grow on his skin, and I have to say that he is one of the blessed ones, that he doesn't get bullied, because the people have seen Derek grow as his blotches have grown and he has grown. They're used to it because they've seen it since he was first diagnosed. And so he is one of the blessed ones. There are children that we deal with. I am a part of an association called AVRF, and it stands for America Vitiligo Research Foundation. And children get together once a year to come and support each other in love, because unfortunately there are people who have water thrown on them. There are parents who have to watch their children cry at night. There are people who go to an amusement park and talked about and laughed about. So does bullying happen? Yes. The suicide rate in vitiligo, people who have vitiligo, is very strong, because if you have cancer, if you have high blood pressure, that's not something that's visible.
Right.
When you have vitiligo, it is very visible. My son has it on his hands. He has it on his legs. His elbows are all white.
Yeah, I saw the one on his leg when you sent me the picture.
And he is starting to have it on his nose and in his ears. And so right now he doesn't have it all over his face, but there are some who has it. As far as Michael Jackson and bleaching his skin or whatever, I'm not sure about that. As far as, we actually celebrate Vitiligo Day on June 25th, which is his birthday.
Okay. Oh. I didn't know that.
Yes,
Educate me.
I'm going to educate you, brother. So there are a lot of people in the vitiligo world who was like, I saw steam coming out of their ears. So I
don't even care.
You don't even care. But we do celebrate it on his birthday, as far as World Vitiligo Day is concerned. So we as people who actually have it, or people who have family members, one of our things is that we are trying to bring awareness, because if it's fit that my son has it on his face, I want people to be able to look at my son and say, oh, he has vitiligo, and not walk away from him because they don't know what it is. I'm also part of Vit Friends, and one of the sisters, and I do consider them my sisters, even though I don't have the diagnosis, my son has it. And so to me, I'm a part of that family.
Respect.
Yes. And she was saying how someone didn't want to hold her hand because he looked at her hand and she had the blotches on her hand. So it is out there. It is a real prejudice. And we need to bring awareness so that people can look at somebody and say, oh, they just have vitiligo, and keep on stepping.
I guess I'm trying to figure out what exactly is vitiligo. Other than
vitiligo?
just
It's an autoimmune disease.
It's autoimmune.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and they're still doing research on it. They really don't know where it comes, when it started. They just know that it's a part of the autoimmune disease.
Yeah, because I was always wondering about that. I just thought it was just skin discoloration. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Sort of like no different than eczema. You know what I mean? That's what I thought.
Right.
You know what I mean? But because I actually, when I was doing research on you guys, and then I got to you, and I'm like, vitiligo. Okay, what is that? And I did not get a real definitive answer on what it is. But I learned enough to know that I was ignorant.
It affects the pigmentation and the dyeing of the skin. And so that's why the blotches of the skin is white. However, there are people who are white, and their vitiligo sometimes is brown. So
it's like reversing the pigmentation.
Sometimes. And then there are some people who are white, and then you can't tell, But in the summer, you can really tell
because of
the
tanning.
sun and the tanning. So then you can see their blotches very well.
Thanks for listening to Alternative Thought on Loaded Eardrum Media. And subscribe to our YouTube channel at Loaded Eardrum to see our other shows.